these excellent industry guys, because the business models in industry are in a move, and this is exactly that the topic I would like to talk with you. FAU at a glance, once in a nutshell, we have 40,000 students. The Faculty of Business and Economics, Business and Society on the right side is in Nuremberg, and the rest of our university is in Erlangen, the headquarters in a beautiful castle directly in Erlangen. But we have 40,000 students, and our school nearly 10,000 students. So it's quite a big school of business and economics in Nuremberg, being connected with many universities. And since I remember that I made the first steps when I was dean of the faculty, 2003 to 2005, and talking with Professor Schubanov in starting our collaboration. So it's not a new thing, our collaboration. We are quite an innovative university, being ranked by the Reuters ranking at #1 in Germany and #2 in Europe as most innovative university, by the way. But we are happy to be surrounded by very good institutions who are making research also, like Fraunhofer Institute, Helmholtz, Max Planck. They are all situated in the near. Our Fraunhofer Institute is the inventor of MP3. They invented MP3 many years ago, and they are still very active. And one professor of FAU is the head of this Fraunhofer Institute, just to underline that we have strong connection with this institute. Yeah, but we also have very interesting firms. You know, Germany is an industry country, and the region of Bavaria is one of the hotspots. And everybody knows Adidas and Puma, but some people don't know that they are only 13 kilometers away from Nuremberg, situated in a city nobody knows. It's called Herzogenaurach, but this is a very small city where we have Adidas, Puma, and Schaeffler. Schaeffler is the main automotive supplier, having 300,000 people working in. So we are happy to have a very active region, and it's important for us, good for research. If we make empirical research with these firms, good for our students, that they can work and they can write their theses about relevant topics out of these firms. Yeah, but now back to my slide. By the way, one message: since 1st of October, I'm dean again, but dean of executive education, because I'm also leading our MBA programs. We have 6 MBA programs, the longest one since 18 years. And we have more master students in our executive programs than in our academic programs, by the way. So, but now back to my real topic, digital and platform business models. So the research about business models is round about 25 years old. Enterprises, companies, firms always had a business model, of course, but that it is a topic of research. This is round about 20 years that it started. And we pretty soon entered this academic area in writing articles, making presentation at Academy of Management and EURAM and so on and so on. We are quite active. But what I found interesting, that the digital and the platform business model are, from my point of view, very dominant especially in the industry area. This is what, being a research about industrial management, about industry firms, this is my main message, and this is what I would like to discuss together with you. So to know a little bit more about digital business models and the platform business models and what they have to do in the industrial area. You know, many platforms, they are B2C, like Facebook and Amazon and eBay. We know so many good examples, but we hardly don't know good examples in the industrial area. This is exactly what I would like to discuss with you. But first, the digital business model. And I think since more or less also 20 years, we realized that the business models, not only in industry, of course, are more and more digitalized. And that new business models that are so successful, like, for example, Amazon, has started as a digital business model. And so I like to work with the so-called business model canvas. It's invented by Mr. Osterwalder or colleague Osterwalder and others. But from my point of view, it's a very good model to talk about business models. Although there are other frameworks, of course, but I have good experience in teaching, but also in research to use this business model canvas. And the message is very clear and short. We have 9 elements of this business model. The value proposition, what I deliver to the customer by itself, the channels, how to get my products and services to the customer and the relationship. On the right side, on the left side, I have the key activities, what I'm doing, the key resources, what are the resource material or immaterial basis of my business model, and the key partners, for example, the industrial suppliers, they are key partners. And these are 7 elements, and we have the cost structure and the revenues, so the economic results of what I'm doing with the business model. Then I have 9 building blocks. And business model innovation, in a nutshell, means you can be innovative with all 9 building blocks, and not only traditionally with the value proposition coming with a new product every 5 or 6 years or whatever, but you can address new customer groups, you can invent new channels, and so on and so on. I think we have understood this message and we know this business model canvas. And my first approach to digital business model would be that the more elements of the business model and are digitalized, and the heavier they are digitalized, the more we have a digital business model. As simple as that. And this is what I would like to go a little bit into more details together with you. For example, Netflix, yes, they started in sending DVDs, then started with a subscription model, which is quite common. We will see that new business model, or as we know, are very often connected with a new revenue model. And then used the internet from 2007, and they became Netflix as we know the business model. But I would like to go step by step, in a nutshell, through these 9 building blocks, just to think about what could be digitalized here. And first of all, the value proposition. So yeah, and my my best example would be the automotive industry. You know, Germany is not only an industry country. Our industry sector, 25% of the GDP is delivered by the industry sector, and it's much more than USA and much more than UK and so on, and France. So we are an industry country. So it is important for us to know what is the future of the industrial business model. And so, and the automotive industry is our most important industry, measured by the GDP or measured by the people working in this industry. It's 800,000, nearly 1 million people are working in the automotive industry alone in Germany. So yeah, and value proposition, the traditional value proposition of the automotive industry is coming up with a new car model every 5-6 years. That's it.
I'm sorry,
but we know that we have
see your presentation.
Yeah. Do we have technical?
Yes.
Or a question? Question.
No, we cannot see the presentation. We don't see anything from what you are speaking. We just listen to you. We cannot see
you
the
don't see the
presentation.
screen?
No, just speaking.
Yeah, it's
I'm
a black
trying
screen.
to give a feedback, but we cannot see the presentation.
It was shared, but
No, it's just we can listen, but we cannot see anything.
okay. What about now?
No, nothing. It's just we can see your name but not the screen. I'm very sorry for interrupting, but difficult to follow. We see that you are speaking and sharing a presentation, but without it, it's a little bit difficult to follow.
Oral version
No,
to
just
explain everything. You can see the slides, of course, but and the other one. Tonight I'm responsible for the
Maybe
content.
you share two screens if there is an extended screen. Yeah.
The good thing is from this small interruption that we are still joining, and I can see that we are almost 80 people. So
Unbelievable. Ah, yes. Yes.
No.
Maybe it's working now.
Yes, it's working. We can see it.
It's right here. Please try with the clicker now.
Yeah, I can. I think I don't need this. So
Yes, you can touch here.
Yeah, touch the.
Marc, ich müsste nochmal zurück. Mache ich das? Weg.
Just a second.
Ja, okay.
Just a second.
Mr. Blätter.
Бабам ти работи компютър.
Okay, I can just make an oral presentation when the people see me would be enough. I'm flexible.
Ти ли си компютър? Не знам как да го направя. Сега се вижда.
But when the people can hear me and see me, it would be enough without slides. So if you only have the people, it will be enough. Okay, the slides.
We see you.
Okay.
We see the screen. we see Todor.
Okay. Now we have to connect to the local screen here. And that's the problem. In the connection to the local screen worsens the situation. And blocks. Can we do simultaneous? So you connect to the screen here.
Yeah.
And you show to this screen
Yeah.
the slides, and then Professor Fойgт showed the slides to the virtual audience.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's something with connection to the local screen.
If you try to share without allow mouse keyboard touch.
Okay, so I think you can.
Or do I
go
connect
on.
it via Bluetooth?
No, it's. I will do that.
Yeah.
Just find the slides.
Here the slides.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. So welcome again. I hope that in the internet you are online. You can see me, or at least also the slides. I don't know. I'm
both.
Yeah, both.
Yes, everything is perfect.
Yeah, and we now make it possible that also the audience here in the classroom can see the slides, but we have a second computer. And then, yeah, sorry for the interruption, but we go on and you will see the slides in a minute. Yeah, consider, for example, the automotive industry. You know, it's an industry which is quite important and which we know very well, and we have car suppliers and car manufacturers very near to our university. And yeah, it's not only about electromobility, which is very important, and it's not only about autonomous drive, but about connectivity and community and customization. You know, the car of the future will only run with the software. The car actually has many softwares. We have in nearly every element we have an embedded software. Yeah, perfect. And I can. You are managing this. Okay, and we will be successful. You know, the car has a software, and the one dominant question is who is developing this software. Is it Google? Is it BMW? Is it Volkswagen? BMW and Volkswagen decided to build big facilities to develop the software by themselves. They could have used the Google software, but the car of the future, the car of the very near future, is running with one software. Now we have around about 30 different embedded systems in the car running, or even more. And Tesla has only one. So Tesla is the benchmark here. But you have a digital program makes the car move. And you have connectivity. And the idea, of course, is very clear that in the future, even if you have autonomous drive, you don't have to drive anymore. So you have very much time when the car will drive you from A to B, from Sofia to Burgas or something like this. You have a lot of time. You can entertain, you can chat, you can work. I'm very convinced that the car will be one of the main places to work because you have many places, but you have to be online. And Yeah, but it's not only what you are doing, but also Tesla gets the updates over the air. So without heavy digital elements, the car of the future, the car of the near future, or the present car, so you can get updates from Tesla actually, and from BMW also, is not working. So this is what I mean, digital elements in the value proposition in the car. And we not only have cars, of course, we have other so many other products. So it is quite easy if you have a technical system to implement digitalization there. But what about the consumer industry? When you have soft drinks or a pizza, do you also can integrate digital elements in it? Just think about it. I would say yes, but they are different because you don't have a software in your pizza and in your Coke bottle, but you have also, you may also can have connectivity with RFID and so on and so on. So I think we are living in a trend that alone the value proposition has heavy elements of digitization, but also you can see this, and then you, yeah, okay. So I take the next one. Next slide, yeah. And the customer segments, you know, the questions are how can the digitalization can help to reach new customer segments, and so you know that a digital offering, a digital value proposition needs also a digital affine customer segment. But we are all online. It is not so uncommon now anymore to have digital elements. So, but we have to define the customer segment from the point of view of digitalization, and then we can be successful. Next slide, please. The relationship. Yeah, and this was so questions, how can we use digital technologies to strengthen the customer relationships? Like, for example, and the checkbox website, social media, digital communities, co-creation up to implementing customers into the innovation process. Everything is already done. And don't forget that, so that we already have a lot of improvements here, but this will not be the end of the list and the development. It is about innovation, and it's about us to find new and better ways to change the customer relationship in using digital technologies. Next slide, please. And the channels, of course. And we should know that the starting point of Amazon was a digital channel innovation, because the vision of Jeff Bezos was that I want to have, first of all, the biggest bookshop ever, and the first online. It was not actually the first online bookshop, but one of the first. And of course, that the way of ordering a book was different from Amazon. So it was a channel innovation in the beginning. And we still have classical, consider, for example, the automotive industry again, that the traditional way is to go to the car dealer and order the car there. But we now can configure the car. Can we already order the car online? Yes, but it's just starting. So you see that the automotive industry is just starting in digitalization there. The sales channel. Next question. Next slide, please. And the revenue streams that new and digital business model are very often combined with new and innovative ways of making money, like freemium. Freemium means the basic is free and the extras are charged, or subscription model, a very common model now, not the asset sale anymore to sell a product, but to sell the possibility to use a product, and lending, renting, and so on and so on. So digitalization, you cannot run the business model of driving the electroroller, without digitalization, and the monetization. Yeah. But also on the left side, we have digital elements, the digital key resources, like the IT infrastructure, the website, the app. But don't forget, we will talk about data-driven business model, that the data are more and more a key resource, especially when you have run your business model some years. So you have so many data, and they are becoming so important as a key resource of the future. The key activities. The question is what we are doing, and they are shifting to digital elements, infrastructure-focused digital activities, customer-focused digital activities. So both directions. And very uncommon for the automotive industry. They are so good in developing cars and improving the combustion engine, but they have to rethink that key resources like the cloud technologies or having access and data are so important, and also shifting the key activities from improving the combustion engine, we don't have it anymore in the near future, up to improving and developing the digital elements of the car. And of course, we always need partners. Automotive industry has around about 75% of the car is delivered by the suppliers. This is a status quo, but in the future we have other partners that will deliver. For example, we have the cloud and we have the software and we have other digital elements. Of course, the computer. Tesla has one main computer who's developing it, not the car makers. We have, for example, in Germany, Bosch and ZF, and they are very good in delivering this car computer you need. But from the point of view of the OEM, it's coming from partners, from suppliers. So you see up to payment, PayPal, and so on. So completely different partners, not very common in the traditional, for example, automotive industry. Cost structure, so they are an element of the business model too. So one direction is to make fixed cost variable again. Maybe you find also some ways of improving your cost structure by using, for example, digital twin or something like this. But this is maybe not the main field. But to sum it up, we I think can improve our business model in nearly every of the 9 building blocks to implement digital technologies into our business model, and that it is and the car industry, the automotive industry, is a very good example. And yeah, Amazon started. Next slide, please, with a somehow digital channel innovation. And yeah, first of all, next slide, please. We had that the channel was digitalized. And so on. Then we had these next slide, please. The Kindle, next slide. Yeah, and Alexa delivering data. But I think the most important slide is this one. It just knows one more. Amazon Now, it's a bundle of business model. We don't have one business model or two, but a bundle of business model. But the next one is very interesting because this may be the way other industries are going, that starting with a digital business model, an online bookshop, then it became a platform business model in introducing or inviting others to offer their goods and what they have to offer via Amazon. And of course, Amazon has so many data that then the way of the data-driven business model or we are on the way to a data-driven business model. Means data are more and more important, and data-driven business model, in a nutshell, means okay, we have so much data. How can we transform the data into money? What can we do in order to make money with the data, in connection with other things we are doing, or independent from books and whatever Amazon is delivering. This is a data-driven business model. And I'm mentioning it here because this may be the path all industries are going, being in first steps more digitalized, then implementing a platform business model, and then expanding it to a data-driven business model. And so this is exactly the right point to switch not to the next slide. So we already talked about the car industry, but to come to my second part, to the next slide, please, to the platform business model. So this is, and my special question is, are we starting a process of transforming the traditional industrial business model into a platform business model? Will it make sense, and why? So this is interesting. Yeah, next slide, please. We know that the most valuable companies in the world in 2020, from 1 to 6, we have platforms. So platforms are, so in 2000 we had only Microsoft. It was a half a platform, I would say, but we didn't have any platforms 20 years ago. And now the most valuable companies in the world are platforms. If I would be a classical industry, I would look at this slide and say, wow, the platforms are so valuable and so successful from the economic point of view or the financial point of view or the value point of view. Why aren't we a platform? We, an industry firm, maybe in transforming our business model to a platform, it is a way to expanding our value, maybe. But it must make sense to go into a platform. Next slide, please. And we know that platforms have disrupted the banking or the financial area. I just heard that Sofia is a hotspot for fintechs, and they are working here. Congratulations. And yeah, but PayPal has improved it, and Amazon and so on and so on. We know that the platforms, Uber is a platform, Flixbus is very famous in Germany, and they have market share in the buses of, I think, 90%. But they are a platform. By the way, one of the founders, Daniel Kraus, is also a lecturer at my chair. So, and I know him since more than 10 years. And when they started, it took 2 years for me to understand that they were driving a platform business model. They don't own any bus. And their idea was there are so many buses in Germany and so many people who want to drive from Berlin to Frankfurt, from Nuremberg to Munich and so on. And I only have to bring them together, the buses with the people who want to make a bus ride. And this is a brilliant idea. And this is why Flixbus, Flix Mobility is another good special German, but they are expanding their business European-wide, starting in Brazil. So they are on the way to roll out their business model worldwide. Yeah, we know. So things are a little bit complicated. So I want to, next slide, please. I want to be very short, but we know what a platform is. It is a digital environment, and it's somehow a market bringing two sides together. That this is a platform. It can be a very lean business model, by the way. Next slide. Yeah, platform adds value by facilitating the exchange between two or more independent groups. For example, the suppliers and the customer, those who have the buses and those who want to make the bus ride. And of course, platforms are more and more seen in industries that have been where we had traditional business models, so that the platform business model are replacing the traditional business models. So they are not plopping up in completely new markets, but in traditional markets, but having a new way of making the business and delivering a value proposition. Well, in the literature, yes, it's now, you are very good. So this is exactly what I wanted to show now, is that you can read that the platform business model is transforming the so-called pipeline business model. So it is the value chain, you know, but the traditional business model in the bus area would be we investing into buses, we are hiring bus drivers, we are owning the buses, and the buses are driving for us. This would be the traditional. And but once again, they had the nice idea to have a platform, buses are there and clients are there, we bring them together. And yeah, so this is the next slide, please. The pipeline business model that we have the producer, maybe a retailer, and the consumer. Very traditional, of course, in industry, because that is the traditional industrial business model. But the platform means that, as already mentioned, it's between independent producers and consumers. So many make, many sell, and we are only creating the infrastructure in between. So yes, I think we understand and we know what a platform is, but the main question is, would it make sense in an industrial area? And this is exactly here one differentiation between pipeline and digital, but it's only literature. I don't want to go into details. You can read this in good articles by, and there's a good book by Parker et al. From 2016. Laying a real good theoretical basis for platform business model. But next slide, please. the central characteristics. Yes, and I would very soon come to the industrial business model. Platform, next slide, please. Generate value, bringing together two or more actors, and platform connect market actors with complementary goals, thus exploit network effects, and platform internalize value by monetizing the network effects setup. So we have more details slide, but next, please. Yeah, platforms are designed around the core interaction. Platforms disrupt the value creation logic that has been fundamental to traditional business model, as we had in industry, and platform capture value by monetizing their network effect setup. Yeah, so I would not go. Yeah, okay. We have to talk about the network effects. Here, once again, with the Facebook side, Facebook has some technical problems, but we know that it started as a social network, and first connecting only Harvard students, then students American-wide, and then everybody, and only in the second or third phase merging into a business model in order to inviting advertisers to use the framework and the data in order to address those who are discussing or changing things like photographs and so on. So it as only in the second or third step it merged into a business model. But we have the network effects. Next slide, please. That we don't only have clients, but the clients are interacting, and so we have positive network effects. The more we have, once again, if there would only one person in the world I could phone with, we could phone with our smartphone, it was nearly worthless. But the more people we have to phone or to chat with or to change digital information, the more valuable it's the same product. And the value of the product depends on something else, not the quality or what's inside, but the network behind it. These are network effects. There may also be negative network effects if we have examples, if we have too many, or the group of people on the platform are too diverse, we don't find the right person, something like this. Consider this, but normally the more people you have on the platform, the better it is, because you have more and more network effects. And more important are the two-sided networks effects. No, next slide, please. And yeah, as we have at Uber, that the more people, the more drivers we have, the more they attract more people to drive with Uber. They attract more people to drive for Uber, and so on. So this is a two-sided network effect. Normally, the drivers are the one side on the platform, and the users on the other side, but they are enhancing each other. This is what we mean two-sided network effects, and they are very important. So that we don't only have to address every customer by him or herself, but that there's a positive, I would call, social interactions between the users of a platform. This is very central and very important. Here this is original from David Sachs, one of the founders of Uber, and he had exactly that idea of network effects when he started, just to underline this. Yeah, there may also be positive advantages at the transaction cost. You know, the platform is a market where over this market, or a new form of organizing economic transactions. Yes, and a digital form. If you have a digital platform, once again, the platform idea is not new. Every market, if one has run the business model of a market, where there come those who are selling and those who are buying. If you have a fair, then you have those who are showing the product, and so this have always been platforms. The platform business model is not new, but the digital platform, this is quite new, and in organizing this new way of market of transaction, you may save also transaction costs. We don't go into details here, but from my point of view, the saving costs is not the main or dominant motivation to implement a platform business model. But if you have can have cost reduction compared with traditional business model, I would take them, of course. But from my point of view, this is not the dominant motivation. Yeah, so yeah, I'm looking for, so we have many, we have to sum up a little bit, next one to this one. So we have delinking of assets from ownership. I consider, for example, a little bit together with me, what would it mean for the automotive industry and for a car maker to transform the very traditional business model into a platform business model? Would it make sense? Once again, it's one of it's the most important industry in Germany, and it's a very important question whether BMW and Volkswagen should merge their business model into a platform. Would it make sense? Well, of course, we would have a delinking from assets from ownership. Those who drive don't need a car anymore. They only want to have a drive from Hamburg to Berlin or whatever. And re-intermediation, because there may grow a sort of market where there has not been an intermediation before. We will have a closer look on this, and it's a new form of market organization. Yeah, but let me sum it up a little bit. Of course, another element of these platform business models are, we have already seen this with digital business models, new way of making money, new forms of monetizing, new ways of making money. So, but we already had this phenomena in the area of digital business model, and we also have them at the platform, charging a transaction fee or charging for access or for enhanced access or for enhanced services. So the freemium model is the basic service is free, and enhanced services you have to pay for. So this is quite normal, but in all new forms of business model, we have these new elements of monetizing. It's not only with digital platforms, but we also have them. Yeah, and now I would come to the more or less to the industry side. And once again, would it make sense for an industry firm like, for example, Siemens or BMW or Volkswagen or whatever we have, Bosch? We are full of big and medium-sized. Don't forget, 99.7% of the German firms are small and medium-sized. So the 99.7% counted while we have 3.5 million firms, enterprises in Germany, 3.5 million, and 3.4 and a little bit million are very, very small. So, but of course, Siemens and Volkswagen, the big ones. Of course, we have the big ones, but we have also the small ones. But does it make sense to transform it into a business model if we are an industry, big one or small one? This is the question. And looking at the platforms, we don't have a single phenomenon. This is quite new. We are writing an article about this categorization of platforms. And only in a nutshell, because we don't have so much time here, but we have a product platform. This is not so new. Consider, for example, a traditional car. It's a platform since 50 years, because a car maker is inviting suppliers to give components and functions or whatever. So it is a physical platform for value adding things, components and services coming from others. And so this is not new. But what is new is that the product is becoming a digital platform. So it is, and what's really interesting, it's not new wheels or new steering system, but new digital components in the car that are coming over the air or with the software or with an app, something like this. But we have a product platform. It's quite typical. So it's good. This platform question is leading us to realize that we think about product platforms, although industry already had it since 50 years. Yeah, no, back. Back. So the one step before, yes, okay, product platforms. Manufacturing platforms, it's only in a nutshell here, but okay, the main value creation activity of industry is to produce. Industry, by the way, I'm now talking as an industry lecturer and industry researcher. Industry was invented 250 years ago as a new form of organizing to produce products. And before there had been manufacturing, either handcrafted little shops with handcrafted products, in German Handwerk, and we had the manufacturer, the manufacturers. And so they were pre-development phases, but what's the reason that industry was coming? Because we had more and more people. So the people living, for example, in German states, we don't have Germany, but we had Bavaria and so on and so on. But the number of people living were rising. The people coming out of farming and going into the cities and so on and so on. And we had developments of new technologies laying the basis of the development of industry, of the starting of the industry. This is 250 years ago, but the main driver was we had more and more people. They need something to eat and clothes and so on. And the traditional way of making these products was not working anymore. So we need more industrial organization in order to produce all these products. And this was the starting point of industry. Of course, standardized product, but to produce them in a very highest, in a large scale, what the firms before were not able. And yeah, you may have heard that we Germans are so fond of talking about industry 1, 2, 3, 4.0. Yes, I also have made a lot of research in the field of industry 4.0, but now I would say industry 4.0 it's somewhere here in the new way of producing. But industry 1, 2, 3 up to 4, I would say, has not changed the traditional industrial business model. Consider the car industry. They are making industry 4.0 since maybe 10, 15 years, but it has not changed the traditional business model. And that means we are inventing, building, and selling cars. That's it. Maybe enhanced cars, more services, and yes, I know, but the main business model, and it's not only automotive industry, but for industry itself, has not changed dramatically. We are developing products, we are building them, of course, together with suppliers, and we are selling them. And this is why I think that we are now, when we are talking about platforms, I think we are now, for the first time, realizing that the traditional business model lasting 215 years, successful years, by the way, is now changing into a different form. This is why this question makes it so interesting that, but we only change from the traditional industrial business model to a platform when we see some improvements, not only because we like platforms, but we want to have improvements. And this is exactly what we want to think about and want to know, where do we get any progress in order when we change? Well, once again, manufacturing. So industries, firms, also here in Bulgaria, you have brilliant firms. They are experts in industrial production. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. Industry 4.0, Industry 3.0 has meant to digitalize the production, and 4.0 to implement connectivity, to bring the production steering and planning into the internet, and the connection of the productive elements and so on. With some progress we have developed, we had several research projects. But now a platform is something different, but it's the kernel value creation process of industry, to produce something, to produce a product. And so it will be, give me 5 more minutes, and then we may talk about the manufacturing platforms. But we, I think, are on the way that this traditional industrial value creation process, production, manufacturing, is merging into a platform. Innovation platform, so it's only the overview here. This should be enough. Innovation platform means coming up with new products and services in using a platform. Okay, let us jump to the innovation slide, and this is more and one more, and this is of course open innovation. For example, open innovation, we know this concept since nearly 20 years now, or 15 years, that it is so good from the point of view of a company to open up every window. Whoever has a good idea for an innovation that we are the right enterprise or firm to realize it, let us know. And then if we are really realizing it, you will you will be part of the success. This is the story. But this open innovation platform, either it is run by the firm or it's run by independent knowledge brokers, and we can participate, is quite common, but it can be implemented into the framework of platform. And I would say that industry firms already use innovation platforms since 10 or maybe something between 10 and 20 years. It's not new, but it is one of the elements of the platform. And yeah, and then the transaction platform that let us once again join the automotive industry. Okay, they still invent, produce, and sell cars, and they don't have the combustion engine. They have the electric engine. Maybe they have autonomous drive, but it's still ahead. Maybe 5 years until we really have a system that is ripe for the market, without any damage or any accidents or something like this. But yeah, no, one okay, one back, no back. So and no, the overview. Let us, this one. So automotive industry, just to product platform, yes, we already have, but we know, and car makers like Volkswagen and BMW are working heavily on the task to change the product platform to be ready to implement digital inputs from others. Manufacturing, we will see in a minute. Innovation, it's quite common. And transaction, well, yeah. What we know, we don't sell cars anymore. We are selling mobility. It's something like we see with the electro. What's the English word? The electro roller, the scooter, of course. That you have a car anywhere you want to make a ride, and this so that the transaction not only of buying a car but buying mobility is digitalized. And I see alone in the automotive industry developments in all 4 categories of the platforms. And once again, I make a big jump to the industrial platforms, and no, not this again, but maybe one more. And this is what I really found interesting. We have, platforms are Google, Apple, Facebook, Alibaba, and whatever, eBay, and so on. These are the typical Uber, Airbnb. The typical examples for platforms are all B2C, because the clients are people like we, and we use these platforms. I think we all use these and that, and have experience, and we know that there are network effects. But in industry, we are producing products still. We still have the product, otherwise we wouldn't be an industry. Cars, computers, consumer goods, very interesting whether they will merge into a platform and so on. But we know that it works very well with technical products because they can digitalize quite easy an instrument, a camera, a computer, a car, a refrigerator, the house, and so on. And it was in 2008 that the industrial Internet of Things. So the other examples, the other platforms are working with the Internet of People. But in industry, we have the internet, we have things and people. But in 2008, the industrial Internet of Things was as big as the Internet of People. And since 2008, it's 13 years ago, the number of connected things is much, much bigger than the number of connected people. And I think in realizing this is the chance of the industrial platform business model. You don't only have people connected or firms connected, organizations connected, but you have things connected. And one question we are talking about is, do we have network effects when we have things connected? Of course, we know that we have network effects when we have people connected. This is the traditional platform. But why don't we have network effects among things? I think we have one, but they are different. So this is just a current research to work out a concept of industrial or of network effects among things in the framework of industrial Internet of Things. But to sum it up, this is just work in progress. But in industry, we have people, private customers, we have organizations, when we have B2B firms, and we have the things. So if we have something like a train or a bus or a truck or even a car, we produce it, but we stay online. We as a producer, we stay in connection with the product. In former times, the pipeline means we are producing it, selling it, bye-bye. And maybe at the end of the life cycle, we take it back. Yeah, but we are not connected with the product. But now we are connected, gathering data, conducting network effects among things. Whatever that is, we are actually making works. But I think we are convinced there may be a potential. And this is a main difference compared with the platforms we have, like Facebook and so on, that here the things are the dominant factor, and the people and the organization. And together we have a huge amount of connections and a huge potentials of network effects that no industry expert has already talked or thought about. And yeah, and just no, next, yeah, and this one, stop. This is a very recent publication from March this year out of the Industry 4.0 expert panel. But these are two, we don't go into details here, but two frameworks for the cloud-based industrial of things platform, meaning the platform-based way of manufacturing or production. Either it's cloud-based or it's edge-based. If you talk about with Siemens guys, you will very soon hear edge and cloud. Edge and cloud, this is what Siemens is actually thinking about in the industry area. Edge means the intelligence is in the machine, and cloud means, and the data stays and the program stays in the machine, and cloud means everything is in the cloud. And it is still open what will be the dominant solution. But consider, for example, maybe cloud. We have the IoT platform operator, we have an infrastructure system integrator, asset user. Here we have the machine in use, the service provider, the app development, the app developer. No details here, but we know in former times we had an industry firm buying a machine and buying a program. And the program was running and producing, ready. And it's owned, we own the machine as an industry firm, and we own the program, or we own the license of the program, and ready. And the data produced, we use a little bit the data, and that's it. And now this is production. Either we use the cloud version or we use the edge version. So many independent providers implement it in the way of producing. It's only manufacturing. So things are not that easy, and it's state of the art. Not future, but not history, but state of the art, edge and cloud computing. But we see it's a platform, more or less. And of course, we still have the product, but many more value creating inputs. Yeah. You see, when we talk about industrial platforms, we could mention SupplyOn. SupplyOn is a platform founded by Bosch and Schaeffler and Conti and a couple of industry firms some years ago, in order to help other industry firms in order to structure the procurement processes, getting the right supplier and so on. So it is a supply chain platform, we would call it. Hucato as a marketplace, or MindSphere. Siemens, and this is also nearly 10 years ago that Siemens introduced a platform called MindSphere. And it is a platform, well, it is a little bit, I think Siemens is actually thinking about different things than improving MindSphere. But the original idea, just to make it clear, was that it is not a digital way of selling. You know, Siemens is very good in delivering steering solutions for production, for example, software. So, and the original idea was not to have a digital way of selling the software, but to make a platform. Means on a platform we have solutions, but others also have. And if we and other solutions are coming together, the whole thing is much more interesting for industrial clients. They are B2B, so they're clients of also in industrial firms. So coming out of a pipeline business model, we are developing software or maybe also hardware and selling it up to creating a platform. So from the original idea, it was a convincing idea, but reading recent publications of Siemens, something else is going on. So I don't feel so much dynamic anymore in the MindSphere area, but it has shifted somewhere. But this is not the topic of today. But you hope I hope that if you're interested, you can read some publications and we could go on discussing. But MindSphere as an original idea was a good example for industrial platform. Yeah. So, and now the basic message is that, you know, the pipeline business model or the traditional business model in industry has worked very well for 250 years because it has been improved over a long period of time. But changing it into a platform, and of course, what Tesla is doing, Tesla is copying the changes that in this area has already been. We already have. It's the smartphone was not another phone, but it was a computer, and opening up the way to whatever we are doing, apps, communication, information, and whatever. So the central benefit are not here, are not inside, they are outside. And this is exactly the idea industry could go, that in making whatever they are delivering more digitalized, of course, and changing it into a platform and inviting so many others in implementing the value-added components to our product. Still, it's an industrial product, even this one. But behind it, it's produced by, what's the name of the independent producer of Apple, the Chinese producer? We don't know. So the production of this product is not the main thing, but to create the value system around this. And this is so. And this is already done. This is, I think, what the car maker have in mind. They know that the car is not just something to make us a drive from A to B, but to create a value ecosystem, value creating ecosystems around our product and enhancing the economic potential. Normally, we only had a product, and now we have a big potential. And this is, I think, what the car makers, our CEO of Volkswagen, in every speech, he's talking about smartphones, not only because he likes them, but this is his blueprint of merging the business model from Volkswagen into the future. So the last idea is to develop our pipeline business model into a platform business model to expand a new and much bigger ecosystem around it, and to really boost the value creation potential around our product. We still have our product. We still have to improve our product. But the main thing are around, coming from us, coming from others. And our product and our business model is the platform for whoever will come and will make money on this platform, with this product. I think these are the potentials. But of course, to be a little bit more serious in the so we talk about, will the industrial business model completely convert into such a business model, and what kind of network effects do we have? We already mentioned this question. Is Industry 4.0 helpful? Is it something very different? I would say no. Industry 4.0, from my point of view, was a helpful step in between on the way to an industrial platform business model. Just a hypothesis. What are the advantages? You see, there may be some cost reduction, efficient market structure, but the main elements are that the economic potential, more transactions are coming, more input, more clients. These are the main driver and the main advantages. And what are the challenges of transforming the business model? Because all the industry firms, we know they have a business model, and if they are convinced to transform it into that direction, they have to make a change. And this is, Google, Apple, Facebook, Alibaba, whatever the big platforms, they started as startup firms. They didn't have to change anything, but industry has to change. And of course, the last question, not here on the slide, is I think we don't have the same situation in every industry. We have to dive into the specific conditions of the car industry, machinery, chemistry, consumer goods. So from my point of view, you have a bottle of water that's produced by an industry firm. Does it make sense, the production of the bottles of water into a platform? We would say, no, it makes no sense. But just to think about them, maybe the platform idea, maybe we don't have a product platform, but a manufacturing platform or whatever. So it may be helpful to have these 4 categorizations of platforms. It's not one homogeneous model, but we had different forms. Yeah, that's it. But the main message, once again, I think that for the first time since 250 years of industry, that the business model of industry is changing dramatically for the first time. And this is what it makes so interesting from my point of view. But we still need a lot of research in order to really have serious results about this. Thank you for joining my lecture. Now I would be open to have a discussion here in my room. I don't know whether I can answer also digital question, but of course I can send my slides to Todor, and if you are interested to have a closer look on the slides, but maybe you find it interesting to think about whether industry is changing into a platform. So thank you for my point of view, and maybe there are some more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Questions? Maybe I can switch off the PowerPoint and then see the questions from. Okay. If you want a question, you can raise your hand.
Okay. By the way, there's not so much research about industrial business model. There are some good articles, quite new from 2020-21. Not for me, we are just right. One we have, and but there's not so much literature. But the first 2 articles, not for me, are quite helpful. I could give you the links of the articles, but it's just the starting. Yeah, Mel is our guest, and Mel has a question, has raised his hand. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I can hear you, yes.
Oh, okay. Sounded like a different voice, but there's been a lot of ransomware. And in the United States, pipelines have been disrupted. Grocery food has been disrupted by ransomware and things like that, and that's really disrupting production and people's livelihood. What do you think could be done about that?
Yeah, I think that they are good examples. So it is quite challenging to have an overview that even in more sectors or more industries that we already have investigated, we have this phenomena. And well, you mentioned groceries. It is not industry, but it is a trade. But we also have the phenomena that platforms are merging into all traditional business model, from my point of view. But our task would be to think about, does it make sense? The platform, we will have a platform where it really makes sense, or we need a progress. And where do we have a progress compared to the traditional business model. And what I find it's interesting in industry is that we have a business model that is working since hundreds of years very efficiently and has been improved. So it is not bad. It is not bad. But if you transform it into a platform, you need to have improvements. And this is what we have to focus on with our research to anticipate the progress. And the progress, from my point of view, is not the efficiency, because the industry experts, they are so good in producing, they have so much improved their efficiency of industrial production. There we don't find the dramatic progress, but we find it in the expansion of the value creation potential in opening up the product to a platform, the process to a platform, and the transaction to a platform, and the innovation to a platform. This is, from my point of view, the main aspects. But we are just starting an qualitative empirical research in asking industry experts. I think, from my point of view, all industry firms, especially the big ones, not only in Germany, worldwide, thinking about exactly that question. And maybe I don't know whether this is an answer, but maybe one big addition. A platform means that so many transactions are going over the platform, and the platform creates so much data. And the organic development is that we think how to transfer our platform business model to a data-driven business model. And this is, well, I started 2 years ago, Mark and Oscar know it, to think about data-driven business model in industry, because we, again, have so much potential. What do we make with industrial data? And it's especially interesting because every industry firm has its own data. They have a lot of data, but they don't share it. They don't put it together, and they don't think about to create value along with these data, especially if they put the data together. But now my storyline would be, okay, digitalization of the business model, platform, and then in having so much transactions over the platform, you have so much data. And they are starting with a huge amount of data, having even more over the platform, putting them together, and then to think about what are we doing with all these industrial data. The data-driven business model we know are Facebook, and Amazon and Google. They know so much about us as private persons, but we can also know so much about industry firms, industry processes, suppliers, usage of industry products, and so on and so on. And I think this is another big potential. And the platform is only some more or less a precondition. Not a very strong precondition, but a precondition more or less in order to expand a data-driven industrial business model. I think this is the storyline. Yeah. Thank you. I don't see so many more. I know this is stuff to think about, and this was my big aim for this evening, just to address you and to make you think about it. And but I think this is a very interesting process. We should have a look on this process, and we should watch it. I think it's an interesting move of industry. Okay.
Questions? Maybe one thing from me.
Yeah.
I'm quite interested in how do you scale a digital platform in the industrial world? When on one side we know that you might need to bring competitors over to the same place that need to exchange data, that need to work with each other. And then we know that, for example, in the B2C space, to scale, you need to have both sides in the platform. And it's a very hard equation to do, because on one side, you need the suppliers to have the customers. And if you don't have the suppliers, you don't bring value to the customers, and it goes vice versa if you don't have the other side. So
exactly. So here, just to translate it in from our local audience, we have the question how to scale up an industrial platform. Also, once again, the scaling up and making the network effects really work and move is a central question of being successful with a platform. I agree. I totally agree. And my examples of industrial platforms, so supply on is under the estimation, and MindSphere also. So these are examples for industrial platforms, but they don't work that successful as they have expected among us. My interpretation. And because the network effects are not working and the scaling up is not working. And so I can only at this very place, at this very moment, I can only agree that this is one of the central success factors to scale it up and make these network effects, once again, that are among things and institutions and persons work. I don't have a fitting answer upon this, but we have to ask our industry experts. They try to make platforms, to install platforms, whether they have ideas. Of course, we think about this from the academic, from the abstract, from the theoretical point of view, what are network effects? So I don't have a fitting answer, and I think, or maybe the way of scaling up these industrial platforms are different from Facebook or eBay or something like that, because we have products, we have other, and we have these things. So the first point is to understand the network effects among things. And then I think, and whether they can be influenced, I think yes. And then how to start the network effect. So a very good question, and we still don't have the answer, but we have to find some. Okay, it's pretty late, but I hope that I've given you some suggestions. There are 2 or 3 good articles, not from me, but in literature. If you're interested, I could, via the university, I could send you the literature list. It's quite a short list to have some articles, and yeah, but we need researchers all over the world to help to develop this, I think, very interesting questions. This is what I want to say. So thank you very much to be my guest or my listener and at my lecture. Thank you very much for the audience in this very impressive Schwarz lecture room. And I would hand over to Todor to make the final statement, maybe addressing the next lecture or something like this.
No, thank you. Because we brought together different streams of students and also participants, as Mel. Mel is from US with an extensive track record working for the Department of Finance. So we will not announce the next lecture, but thank you very much, and we might have a few round of questions locally. Thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.